Nancy from Flybubble. We've just flown from Taucho and landed on the beach because I'd like to talk you through my equipment and show you the Lightness 3 at the same time. So we've got the chest strap coming down and a little ball that holds the flight deck and a clip here as well, which is a really great introduction over the Lightness 2, which didn't have that, which just holds, especially when you've got a large flight deck like mine, it supports the weight very nicely. Then we've got security system, so a little ball releases everything, so that's that. And you've got two pass-through buckles, so it's actually, well, I find it very simple to get in and out of. I think at first some pilots do struggle. When I've done harness fitting sessions with pilots, they sometimes struggle to put the buckle through first time, but actually it's once you've done it a few times, it really is quite good. I have to confess, I don't normally fly in sandals, but I have changed my footwear because it's hot here. Don't show my feet too much. I usually try and grab my flight deck at this point because I don't like to drop the whole thing on the floor. And some other accessories that I've been using for my flying, which work really well. So we've got the Flybubble bandana, new Flybubble speed arms as well, and to reveal the hairy chest. This is a new feature on it's an optional extra on the Lightness 3. The idea is that when you're flying, the wind is deflected over your head to make it more of a comfortable flight and make you less tired. And I think it does work well. So it's an optional. You can try it and see if it works for you or not. So to take it out, it comes out as a flat pack, and they give you a nice bag for it to be stored in. Slide that back into there. So with my flight deck, I've got a Velcro panel, and I do add a security onto there as well, just so that I don't lose my whole flight deck. The harness has the option of an advanced radio top holder, and I'd love to use it, but my radio is too big. So this is my radio I use, so I have to use this holder, which works very well for my radio. But if you had the advanced one, it would sit very nicely on here, but you need a smaller radio than this. This is my laptop holder, if you like, but for my flight instruments. So slide those in there. So you've actually got quite a good storage area in there for stuff in flight, and I think it's really important that you do. It's really important that you do use it. You can see that this part of the harness is not supported, but when you put those items in there, it gives you a really nice sort of curve there. In flight, I store my phone in the front of here as well, so remember to take that out. I have my bag of just stuff that I keep, and then there's also the rucksack, which I rolled up nicely to go in the back. So that's the Light Pack 3, and I'll show you in a minute how that all goes into the bag. The drinking system, I don't have a hanging one, I just use a platypus, but you can attach your bottle and slip it in there. I tend to use these, and I tuck that actually under there, so when I'm packing away it doesn't go into anything. So on here you've got a Velcro panel for a small mini Vario. I'm currently testing the Skytrax Tweety, so that's on there. And another thing to show you as well is our Flybubble Bramble hook covers. The reserve container, very neat, very compact, and I've got a high bencher beamer 3 in here, and pre-flight check, just want to make sure that that's yellow cords going through there, but it's, as you can see, very neat. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about the Advance Lightness 3, about how it feels in the air. And so first of all, I love it. That would be probably my secret straight away, that I do love the harness. I love the feeling that it gives me, which is a hammock feeling. So I have got a bit used to that, as I've been a pilot that's been flying the Lightness 2. So the hammock feeling, you feel that you're being held in place, and I feel that I can move and glide with the harness. With my glider and the harness, everything flows really nicely. With thermals, so for example, if it's lighter, weaker thermals, I feel that I move with the harness more, and I really I push myself out and roll with the harness, and it responds really well to that. It rocks and rolls with you. So in the light thermals, you might be trying to have to sort of really crank up and find the sort of smaller cores and work the bits of lift. So using the harness, I feel like I'm rolling into the thermal and rolling back out of it again to try and get the sweet spot. With a stronger thermal and perhaps a wider thermal, then you can play around with the feeling of rolling into the thermal with the harness and then rolling back out again. Quite a relaxed feeling. I find the support around my whole back very supportive and very comfortable. For the last couple of days we've had quite sort of strong conditions. It's been high pressure, so the thermals have been quite punchy at times, and I would say you probably get a little bit more of a rock and roll feeling sometimes with the thermals. And so I find the way that I can then use the harness to help me with that is to really move with the harness, and I find myself pushing more against the foot plate and trying to sort of push myself round into the thermal and really hold on to that core. I do find sometimes that I like to just bring my legs in, bring myself more into a core ball. So the feeling I get with the Lightness 3 while doing sort of mild wagger, some wing overs, and general sort of mucking about with the wing, just having a bit of fun. The harness feels really comfortable, and I would say has less roll than the Lightness 2. It feels maybe a little bit more stable. I definitely feel there's a bit more comfort than there is with the Lightness 2, more support with the back. So using the speed system is really easy. You have a webbing loop over the sort of rope, so you've actually got two steps, I should say. So you've got two steps, and then webbing now instead of just thin line, which makes it super easy to get your boot or trainer onto the webbing loop. And I find it very easy to push and also to keep it more straight. They've centralized the attachment point, which actually makes it really easy to keep a straight speed bar, so I haven't got any kind of adjusting to keep on course, which is really great. I use Handwag Sky boots and they are great for hooking on to the webbing on the speed system, and yeah, they make it really easy, so I don't have any problems. The actual getting in and out of the pod as well, I find that very easy. I pay attention to my body position on launch, keeping a good stance and keeping the harness in the right place, and when I launch I'm hooking my foot on straight away, and not having any issue getting in or out of the pod. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to pack everything away into the bag. So I tend to put the risers, I try and keep them off the floor wherever possible, especially if there's dusty, dirty ground. Put the risers into the body of the harness. And you've got a couple of ways you can do it with the flight panel. You put the flight panel in first and put your foot plate over the top, and that all makes that nice and flat. And everything sort of stays inside the harness as well. So that's kind of ready. So with a harness, it always feels a little strange to do this, but it's what you're supposed to do. So from this point here, when you've got your fold of the foot plate, is actually push the harness into a folded position at that point. And then you're going to lift the whole thing up and onto your glider. And at this point, keeping it all nice and central, good old knee comes into play, and you end up pushing the harness down into the bottom of the harness. Now, pretty much in the bottom there, and I've got no problem. I forgot to mention I'm cheating very slightly because I've got a medium harness, but I'm using the 91 litre Light Pack 3 rather than the one that you would normally get, which is the 83. Because it makes it just that little bit easier for packing. I have a full face helmet, and I'm usually carrying extra stuff as well. Helmets are a great storage place. Windshield slides down between the harness and the glider. So that just slots in actually pretty easily. That's going into there. And you can see, because I've got the larger rucksack, I have no stress in closing the zip. And it's super comfortable to carry. Ready to go again.